Hello folks and welcome. So today's video is going to be about personal backups. I'm going to make it from the angle of a new user. I'm going to show you this completely from scratch, how to install this tool and how to use it. But I'm going to be talking about personal backups. There's lots of options up there and I'm going to show you a simple one. And I'm going to show you probably one that you may have not thought about, maybe. However, if you installed Linux Mint 21.2 Mate desktop, you are asked to activate Time Shift, which is a system restore utility. Under general conditions, it doesn't make the backups for your personal files, which I'm going to be advocating today, but it does use a thing called Rsync, remote sync. And this tool that I'm going to talk to you about, and I'll show it completely from where to look for it, how to install it, and how to use it. And that's also using Rsync. Remote sync, which is, but remote sync can also be used on your local computer for backing up personal files. And you have lots of options, I understand, but Rsync is found on most Linux distributions under the hood. So welcome folks, I am filming in 1920 by 1080. You can adjust your YouTube player accordingly by that gear symbol, since most of them sometimes default to 460. That's a lot less screen res that I'm filming in. I highly encourage that you subscribe. I have lots of videos on my YouTube site, over 200. If you are not a subscriber, also subscribe and look in the community tab to do keyword searches. All my videos are indexed. Alt and F4 to close that screen. So let's talk about backup devices. What do you have? I have a USB backup drive that's currently empty. I'll show you how to format USB drives or sticks. And you can also think about maybe using this for maybe internal hard drives. If you are fairly new to Mint, special welcome to you. I'm going to show you a couple of tips about resizing windows. Doesn't matter if it's the file manager or something else. Using a standard USB-based mouse, you can use a hardwired mouse to do this with, but click and hold and pull that box all the way to the top and pull it down to resize. Your mouse pointer tip has to be below that line that I'm pointing to. That represents the top of the window. Do you have to click on a specific label? No. Just be somewhere in the vicinity of that line and somewhere in here to do this with. And I'm going to pull it down from here. You can also right click and resize. And of course, double click, or do it the old fashioned way. All right, let's talk about the tools you already have installed. So you installed Linux Mint 21.2 Mate and you will find the USB stick formatter. Since I'm using a USB based hard drive, the stick formatter tool will also see it. And you can see it right there. It's a PNY CS900, 240 gig drive on a USB cable plugged into a USB port. Now, why do I pick FAT32? For a lot of reasons. If you are, let's say, taking document files or maybe JPEGs, in other words, pictures, and you want to share those with, let's say, a Microsoft system, you probably want to use FAT32 instead of extension 4 for compatibility reasons. Makes it a lot easier to transport files back and forth. But I'm going to use this for the same reason for backups. Now, I do advocate that you change the label, though. Do you notice that mine says USB back 1, there's no spaces, and it's all uppercase? All right, I would recommend the same. So USB back, let's just say 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever number you want to give it. Okay, and then hit format. This will be for sticks and for drives. If you use an internal hard drive, that's of course up to you. But I'm just going to advocate showing USB stick and USB hard drives for an external connection because let's face it, doing backups, do you really want to back up your stuff on the same hard drive? Sometimes not. You do have a backup tool, and normally this backs up to your hard drives that you currently are also using. So I'm going to advocate that you pull your, well, personal stuff off the drive and put it on something else. All right, and if the documents are important enough to you, put it in a fire safe. So my user for today's Mint 21 or 21.2, or we'll just call it, I'm going to call it 212. Mint 212 is just a made-up name. Now, in here, I'm interested in copying that or maybe pictures or music under general conditions. I'm not interested in copying everything in my folder. Why is that? because if I hit Control H, I have other stuff in here. I'll go full screen. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here. Control H. What does Control H do? It shows hidden files and folders. Hidden files and directories or folder names. We'll just use the name folder. When I say directories, folders, then never mind. They're both the same in my book. But anyways, it shows hidden stuff. Control H. So a lot of times when you're using your web browsers for a long time and whatever else, they collect a lot of files. Cache folders, config folders, that kind of stuff. These are all hidden. You never see them. But this could be enormous. So that's why I advocate only backing up those kind of things. So we're going to deal with documents today. I have 2 folders and some documents. Now this one here, this a.txt, and cabbage tests are all the same file. And the reason I did it is just for 2 reasons. First of all, you can see it says fat burning soup on it. And so does this one. And so does this one. Is to just demonstrate the fact that you can create text files with no extensions on them. However, if you're gonna send that to a Microsoft user or a Mac user, whether it's through email, FTP, or USB stick, I would recommend that you rename these things. That way the destination doesn't have to decode what this is. I can tell you what a Mac will do to this file here. Mac will interpret that as an application. Microsoft system will just say, what is it? And you usually have to tell it it's a text file. But why go through the hassle? Rename these things. Again, it's very simple. All right, but with that said, I'm going to play with this file here, and you can probably see it just has the word test in it. And this one here has the thing that says hello world on it. It's not a big deal. I'm going to use these files to my benefit. So I'm going to talk about making backups to this device here using Grsync. What is Grsync? Grsync is graphical remote sync. It's not installed. If you type in GRS, it won't find it. So I'm going to show you how to install it and how to use it, and along with some tips on how to do standard backups and then backups with deleting files on your destination device. I was asked this by a user just the other day. So I'm going to first look for the tool. So GRS is probably close enough. So graphical rsync is what I'm looking for. So Grsync, that's what that is. It's the front end for rsync. Now rsync is found on most Linux distributions under the hood. Okay, I'm going to do the install thing. Now there's lots of backup tools out there, folks. And I do recommend that you back up your stuff off your current booted in drive, just in case you have a catastrophic failure. There's nothing worse than not having personal files on the same drive and everything gets lost. You can always replace your system. But anyways, just as one more reminder, if you have activated Timeshift, it is also using rsync. And again, rsync stands for remote sync, but it can also be used on your local hard drive to back up files. I'm not going to launch that just yet. So we're going to be backing up 2 folders and all these files. And again, I'm going to be talking about backing these up to here as a full sync, and then also deleting files off the destination and source and destination. So let's open up GRS. Now it sees it. And you can, of course, right-click and do some shortcuts if you like. All right. So I'm going to open this tool. So under default conditions, you can use it as is. But I will talk about some options here for a little bit more advanced users, because I had someone ask me, if I decided to delete a file in here and then sync this up, can I use either this or script files to delete files here also? Yes, you can. I'll talk about script files just a little bit later. You can see it's in here. I got 5 of them. But I'm going to do the straight thing first. So let me explain the interface. And I do recommend that you actually go look this up on the internet yourself. Either look up Grsync or rsync. So the G part is graphical rsync. And again, rsync is remote sync. Default, default, default. These are shortcuts. Okay. Source and destination, one thing at a time. One source to one destination, add time is how this tool works. I have script files that actually do multiple destinations or multiple sources even to one or more destinations. But more importantly, let's talk about this tool. So under default conditions, you're going to do a source, which is what are you going to copy? I'm going to do not my whole directory, because again, it's got hidden files and folders. I just want to do documents and do open. Puts in the path, and where are you going to send it to? Where are you going to copy this thing to? Well, I got my nice USB back one sitting here that's already mounted. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to hit the play button. Before I do that, I wanted to let you see this is empty, and now it's populating. So however long this takes, that's the message you want to see. Is Grsync any slower than TimeShift? No. Is Grsync any slower than using script files? No. They're all rsync. Rsync is rsync. It's the speed is all dependent on your computer, the connection points. In other words, is it an internal hard drive, external hard drive? How fast is it? And is it a USB 2 or 3 and all that good stuff? All right, so let's take a look at these. So I have, I'll make this a little bit larger if you like, now that you can see that I have all these objects. 2 folders, bunch of files. They're a match set, okay? The cool thing about Rsync though, if I rerun this tool, it won't have anything to do because it's finished. It just, all it did was verify that nothing changed in here. But I will change some things now. I'm going to take the C file and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you if you like. I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to use a Control C, and then I'm going to click down a couple more lines and hit Control V. What are those things? They're just shortcuts. These are also the same equivalent in Microsoft too, by the way. The Control C is copy and V is paste. So I'm going to change that number from 1 to 2, and then I'm going to save this file. So this file has been altered. The attribute of the file has been changed. The attribute of all the rest of these files has not. So what you're going to see here is probably a blink when I rerun this. Nothing changed, right? Actually, if you looked, the bytes changed. Why is that? Because I added the word hello to. Let me resize that. So why was this faster the second time? Because it didn't need to re-replicate all these. That's why. But it knew enough that this file changed in your source and replicated to destination, because I'm dealing with USB back here. So that file here is now matched to this one. That's the original, and here's the backup. All right, now I'm going to talk about deleting files. And I want you to think about it very heavily. One of the reasons that when you bring up Grsync by default that is not selected is because of this reason that I'm explaining. A lot of times you want to make a copy of your stuff to a backup device without deleting anything. When you're doing, you're doing more backups every day, right? It's adding to these files. If none of these have changed, they stay the same. If a new file gets added, it gets added, right? But it doesn't delete the existing ones. So you go over here in your originals and you delete, I'm going to take 3 of these. This again is my original document folder, and I'm going to press delete on my keyboard, and they're going to go into the trash. But before I do that, let me empty. Yeah, it's empty. Okay, so I'll do it again. All I'm doing is clicking and dragging a line. You can also do it this way. Click, hold the control key, click, click. That's all up to you. I'm just clicking and dragging to selecting 3 things, and then I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. You know they're in my trash can, but more importantly, they're gone, right? So I got 6 objects here. This one, on the other hand, still has the originals. Without changing anything here, I'm going to hit this button again, and what do you think is going to happen? Nothing. It's not going to delete them. It's going to leave them alone. Okay, this is meant for the folks that want to retain these files. But let's say you're the type of person, since you deleted those 3, you wanted that also to be deleted here. Can it be done? Yes. You can use Grsync or even script files to do this with. I will touch upon that a little bit later. So I would use this option. And then I also would recommend that you use this option. Now, what will happen if I do this now? I'm in my backup drive. And you saw what I did over here. I deleted some files. 3, the C, B, and A text are gone out of my originals. They are still here though, until I hit that, use the same sync up documents too, and now they're gone. Because I told it to delete those files off the destination device. They were already gone off the source. Now, with that said, if you decide to dump your trash, they are Casper the Ghost. They are permanently gone. Just keep that in mind when you're doing stuff like that. That's why these are off by default. However, you can certainly turn things on. Okay? So, now that you've seen how that was done. So, sorry, wrong folder. So there's 6 objects here. There's 6 objects here. So when I do a restore, find my trash, of all 3 of these objects, files, restore, now they're back online, right? You agree? And these are still missing until I rerun this. Do I have to change this order? No, you can leave it. And they'll re-replicate in here. Because you restored them. Okay, so far so good? Okay. Now all this stuff is up here is just shortcuts. So if you want to save whatever you're doing, you can make a shortcut for it and give it a name. Now I'm going to change this up a little bit. So if I wanted to copy a different folder, then I can click the upper and leave the bottom. And I will choose music this time. All I'm doing is changing the source, but I'm using the same destination, and I'll leave the folder because it's going to make a music folder over here. Play button. It takes a while. First sync up is usually longer than the second. Okay, it's done. So let's take a peek at it. So I got all these albums here, right? And my originals reflect the same. However, I don't like the Hello World. The album is terrible. The second album is terrible. The first album is okay. So I decided I wanted to delete that one. And I wanted to match over here. That's fine. Leave this on, and rerun this music to backup. And yeah, I'll leave it open. I was going to do it this way, but I'm going to let you see it. It'll actually remove this. It's gone. I'll restore it. It's in the trash. Now that you can see it back online. And I will hit this play button again. And it puts it back in there because I did a restore. All right, this is for the folks that want to do stuff like this. But again, if this option is off, it replicates the files and keeps adding to them. So you can keep your originals. And that might be a preferred option with a lot of people instead of this option. But for the ones that want to delete stuff also on the source and destination, then you want to hit this option here. And possibly even this one. But again, I do recommend that you look this up yourself. I'm going to close this box now that you know how to do both options. And I'm going to clear this drive out. And then I'm going to hit Control N as in Nancy to bring up another box. Hopefully I got enough room on the screen. I may have to resize this just a pinch. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to Documents and open up my script folder. So I have several scripts in here. I'm just going to show you one. Now my backup drive is empty. So I will show you this script, but again, I'm not really going to get into script files in this video, but I'm going to show you what this thing is going to do. It's still using Grsync and the archive bit, and it's going to be Grsync documents, music, and downloads, all 3 folders, to that USB back 1 device. However, I'm going to alter the name of the folder on the destination device to doc instead of documents, and I'm going to leave the other 2 alone. And then I'm going to use the --delete command on all of them. So let me run this script. And what it's going to do is going to create 3 folders. And I'm going to wait until it finishes. And once it does, I'm going to show you the music folder, or any other folder for that matter, out of these ones I picked out of here. And let me see if it's finished. So again, I have the Hello World and Hello World 2. Let's say I go to the original and I want to get rid of that Hello World this time. I'll leave Hello World 2. It's better than Hello World 1. At least I re-listened to the songs and they're better. Just a little dry humor there, folks. I'm going to hit delete. And then I'm going to rerun this thing. Now, when I rerun this thing, it's going to go take a look at documents. It's going to verify that nothing changed. Then it's going to go and look at music and see if anything has changed. And it's going to find that I was missing one. And I removed it because I used the delete command. And then download, there's no change. Okay, so. However, I need to go over here to take a peek at this. Okay, so they should still be in sync. Okay, so I will go back and take a peek at that. So let me return Hello World and do a restore. So we're back to, sorry, wrong folder. Hello World and Hello World 2, and this is still just Hello World 2. I'm going to rerun this. And now it added the Hello World. So now both of them are online. So again, this script here is, it's using Grsync just like GR is, except I'm doing 3 things at once. And I'm also altering the name of the folder. But I'm using the --delete command on the ends. That tells the system to go and sync up if I remove something over here also. All right, you saw that remove the file and then add the file, depending on how many times I run that script. Here's a basic one, single line. All this does is a straight backup. The tilde just represents my home folder. It'll just say like home folder mint 212. That's what that represents. This will be source. This is destination. Okay, so that would be copying documents to a folder called backup or back. And this one here is doing the same thing, except it's got the --delete on the end. That would be the removal stuff that you did on the GR part. So going back to that, that would be the same thing as me hitting this. Okay, but I'm doing it in a script file. Okay, I think I probably rehashed this part, except you do have a backup tool. You can also install others. Keep in mind, under default conditions, normally making backups to your current booted in hard drive. You also, as a reminder, I didn't open this before, at least I don't remember it, is TimeShift does use Grsync. Now you can see my backups are in here. So under default conditions, it uses Grsync. And under default conditions, it's also making 5 backups. And under default conditions, it's excluding your home folders, not making copies of them under default conditions. But again, this is also using Grsync. Thank you for watching.